Hey folks, Hal Shurtleff here with Camp Constitution, and I want to give the 2017 Camp Constitution review. Before I do, I just want to, there's so many people out there to thank, especially my family, my wife, and all the people, all the supporters, Charlie Everett, Mrs. Harper, all the people have come to camp over the years. But it was this past February, middle of February, I became the first and only full-time person on Camp Constitution staff as director, and that was due to the advice of Reverend Stevie Kraft, as well as God's blessing our efforts and the generosity of our camp supporters. So I want to just give you now our summer camp, our annual family camp. It was our 9th annual family camp. It was held in Ringe, New Hampshire in July. We had the largest turnout we've had in our 9 years. We had over 120 people participate, about 94, 95 there for the whole week, and a number of others that came there for a day or two and several days, what have you. We had some, probably the best group of instructors, including some new instructors, Alex Newman, who writes for WorldNet Daily, and Professor Willie Soon, the atmospheric scientist who's coming back to camp next year, and Larry Pratt of Gunners of America. And we had a great time, and many of the, I should say, all of the classes that we did at camp are uploaded on our YouTube channel. The Sam Blumenfeld Archives. Now, this is something that was created in 2015. We lost our dear friend Sam Blumenfeld in early May or early June of 2015. And we inherited his library, his papers, and thanks to the work of Mark Affleck, who's our camp newspaper editor, and our webmaster, Eric Conover, the Sam Blumenfeld Archives were created. Now this year we had 2 million views and about 75,000 downloads of Sam's Alphaphonics. And that's just, you know, that's not everything. It's a great resource for homeschools, for researchers. 75,000 copies of this great Alphaphonics. That means all these people can teach their children, or even themselves, adults, how to read properly. So we're very proud of that, very proud of what we're doing. We encourage you to sign up for it. Go to campconstitution.net, scroll down to see the Sam Blumenfeld Archives. Not only do you have his great writings, but we have probably about a week's worth of videos and audios. You can teach people how to do cursive on this great program, and share it with others. Camp Constitution on social media, like we're doing here. Our YouTube channel is averaging over 1,000 views a day, and we did upload Willie Soon's first class at this year's camp, and that got about 54,000 views in a relatively short time. We also have, what's interesting, the reenactment, the Lexington reenactment, the Battle of Lexington, and the Lexington Minutemen have actually embedded our video on their site for this year's reenactment. We also have a Vimeo channel, which we don't use as much. It's not as popular, but we do encourage you to go to our Camp Constitution YouTube channel. Not only do we have our classes, but we have activities during the course of the year. Just a few weeks ago, we were in the Massachusetts State House where we videotaped the second anniversary of the second annual celebration of the Nativity. And just recently, it was September, we started an account on Podomatic. And what we do is we do have a radio show which is on shortwave, WBCQ The Planet, every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we've been uploading the shows on Podomatic, podomatic.com. And we are now, we've been in the between 4th and 6th place, 4th and 10th place for conservative programming. And you can actually download a lot of our radio shows. We've got close to 1,000, I think, downloads just in this few short months we've been on, as well as and also some classic interviews. We have people like Alan Stang and Gary Allen, and some writers from the 70s and 80s, some very important information. So please check us out on Podomatic. We started an account on Amazon, Camp Constitution Books, where we make available many out-of-print books. Most of these books, I'd say about 98% of them, have been donated by camp supporters. So that's one way to help keep me out in the field and support our efforts. Not only that, but if you're on my Facebook page, if you're a Facebook friend of mine, you may have seen pictures of books that I've been uploading the last year or so. and I'll make an offer. Proceeds go to Camp Constitution. So between the two, we've raised over $5,000, and that was just this year. In fact, we just got donated to us an inventory of a bookstore. So keep posted. Keep going to our Facebook page. You're going to see many more books to be made available. Camp Constitution Press. We publish our own books. We have reprinted some out-of-print things as well, and we did 2 this year. This is a very interesting. Camp Constitution presents Proof of the Illuminati. This was originally published in 1804, and I discovered this at a field trip. Our Camp Constitution was going on a field trip at the Ringe, New Hampshire Historical Society, where they were selling copies of this, obviously a different version. And I was very intrigued by it. I asked the lady in the Historical Society, "Why do you carry a book like this?" She said, "Well, the pastor was the pastor of our local church, Seth Payson." And I thought, so we put this back in print. Also, Reverend Stevie Kraft he was on a speaking tour up in Maine, and before that he's at the house upstairs, and he saw a book in my library called Color, Communism, and Common Sense. That was printed in 1958. It was written by a former communist, Manning Johnson, who left the Communist Party to revert back to his Christian roots. And Reverend Kraft was so impressed by it that he said, "We need to put this back in print," and we did, which included a foreword by Reverend Kraft. Homeschool shows. We've been doing homeschool shows on a regular basis. We are doing one more. We did one more this year in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It was probably the largest homeschool show I've been involved in. Here you see a table. This is, I think, our homeschool show at the Mass Hope. So this past year we did a homeschool show in Maine Homeschoolers, which is in Camden, Maine, Rockport, Maine. And then we did the Mass Hope, and then we did one in Pennsylvania. We hope to expand that as well. And this is a great place because not only are we outreaching to get campers to camp, but we're also promoting the Constitution, a lot of things that homeschoolers as well as other folks should know. So now, Camp Constitution on air, on the radio. We have a number of friends who are talk show hosts, and we get on a regular basis in stations in New Hampshire and Connecticut. In fact, tomorrow, there'll be the last day of 2017. I'll be doing with Dr. Gashore. But a few months ago, thanks to, I think, Willie Soon, mainly Professor Willie Soon and Alex Newman and Dan Bedondi, who used to be a reporter on InfoWars, I get a chance to be interviewed by David Knight on the Real News with David Knight. It was on radio and also YouTube, and we've uploaded that program, and you can go to our YouTube channel and see that. Also, the Michael Rivero show. Michael Rivero, I think his show is called What Really Happened. He's based out of Hawaii, and he's on stations all over the country. And here you see me at some studio somewhere. So it's so now we've had a really interesting national presence. Speakers Bureau. We created the Speakers Bureau in last fall of 2016, and this year we've had literally dozens of engagements. We had Robert Brown, who is an expert on the Constitution. He created the Constitution is the Solution. We had him speak in New Hampshire and Maine. We had in-studio interviews, press conferences, and I think 4 or 5 engagements in those 2 states dealing with the Article 5 Convention, why it's a bad idea. Reverend Kraft and Dr. Gashore, we had them up in Maine on speaking engagements, and we have engagements from Presque Isle, Maine to Grand Rapids, Michigan. And if you're watching this somewhere around the United States and interested in hosting either myself or one of our speakers, please contact us. We also have one who's not listed here, Father Michael Carl, who's an expert on Sharia law, who was a former writer for WorldNet Daily. Information tables. We do a lot of outreach. We've had information tables at fairs. We did a county fair, Cheshire County Fair, homeschool shows, as I mentioned earlier, Tea Party rallies, and when we are speakers at various venues, we generally have an information table. We also did some information tables on Boston Common, and there we just have a simple 10-question quiz on the Constitution, give people copies of the Constitution. And what's nice about Boston Common is that we have people from all over the country, even all over the world, that come to our table. So let the world come to us, so to speak. We're going to be doing more of this as time goes on. Outreach to the inner city. Reverend Steve, about 3 or 4 years ago, he gave me a DVD of a Tea Party man. I can't remember his name. He was a black gentleman from Colorado. And he was encouraging Tea Party people to get the message of liberty and freedom into the inner city. And he said, you have to go reach out, because the folks who have who aren't in favor of liberty are reaching out all the time. So we befriended Reverend Bruce Wall. I've known Reverend Wall for a while. He's an inner city pastor in Boston. They had an Agenda 21 problem with the parking lot, and I won't go into that. You can see that on our YouTube channel. And due to the fact that we were there at their rally supporting them, he has a radio station, and we were guests on his show on more than a few occasions. We also were in Michigan. We were giving some speaking engagements, and we had a chance to go to the State House to do an Article 5 outreach, the dangers of an Article 5 convention outreach. We met some state legislators from Michigan, Detroit, and when I told one of the legislators who Dr. Kishore was, he was very intrigued and said, we want you back out here. We'll have you in Detroit. We'll have, when the documentary comes out about Dr. Kishore, we'll have it debut it there in Detroit. In the news, in the media. Now, we've been getting articles about our summer camp on a pretty regular basis, and about it was last year. We got a lot of coverage in Maine. We brought Reverend Kraft up there and in defense of Paul and Governor LePage, and made almost every daily newspaper in Maine. But back in mid-August, I applied for a permit to raise the Christian flag on Boston City Hall Plaza. There's a sort of what you call a public access flagpole. About 5 years ago, we raised the Gadsden flag without any difficulty. A little technical trouble. There we go. Yeah, just cancel that out. There we go. Okay. So it took about a month and 10 days before they got back to us, and they said no, because raising the Christian flag is a separation of church and state. And they're keepers of the Constitution, you see, and they couldn't do that. The same city that wants sanctuary cities and is now be selling marijuana in violation of federal law, but that's okay. But when it comes to that First Amendment, my goodness, you can't have a Christian flag on City Hall Plaza for a day or two. So I sent out a news release, and just mostly in Massachusetts media and some in New Hampshire. And a friend of mine, Lynn Roberts, suggested we get a hold of Liberty Council, which is an entity that defends Christian-type organizations. And they took up the case very quickly, and that resulted in media coverage pretty much all over the country. You just delete that out, hon.
How? Can't. It won't let me.
Why does this have to happen? There we go. Sorry for that delay, folks. Technical difficulties. Stop the Article 5 convention. We were very active in a number of states, talking to legislators. We had some outreach events in Massachusetts and Lansing, Michigan, the capital of Michigan. And we testified at hearings in Maine, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, as well as had presentations on that subject throughout the region. And there was a person up in New Hampshire that contacted me recently. I won't mention any names, but one of the organizations that's promoting this, an Article 5 convention, regard us as sort of a threat to an obstacle to their goals. And we're very proud of that. The Phyllis Schlafly Center, which is located in Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, we're going to be donating some of the Sam Blumenfeld library, and they're going to put it on display. We're very happy to do that. We have had 200 boxes of Sam Blumenfeld's material, so there's plenty of Sam to go around. And this is going to be a place where it'll be a permanent display. And we already sent them a few boxes, and over the next few weeks we're going to be gathering more material. American Policy Center, led by Tom DeWeese. Tom is one of the top experts on Agenda 21. and he's also had been one of our instructors in the past. We're partnering with him. He asked me if I'd be willing to do presentations on behalf of the American Policy Center, and he said, Hal, you'll get the Camp Constitution, we'll get the honorarium that usually is paid to me, our expenses are covered, and you can promote Camp Constitution all you want. And that was pretty much a no-brainer, so we're very excited about that. And Tom, on his website, he had made the official announcement. Okay, now we're looking into next year's camp. Next year's just a couple of days away, but next year's camp is going to be from August 5th to the 11th at the Lakeside Christian Camp in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, in the Berkshires. We love going to Towanipi and Ringe, New Hampshire, but we think we found a better venue and a little bit more reasonable, at least for the young people. And we're going to have an open house there in early April, so go to our Facebook page for upcoming events. Oh, by the way, go back to, we have a good lineup too, by the way, with already at the Lakeside camp, next year's camp. We have Lord Christopher Monckton, Dr. Duke Pesta, who's one of the top experts on Common Core, and Professor Willie Soon is returning to camp as well. So we have Dr. Duke Pesta, we have a Duke, a Lord, Michael King of the Massachusetts Family
Institute.
What's that? Institute, thank you. Mass Family Institute. And we have Pastor Earl Wallace. So we have an Earl, a King, a Duke, and a Lord coming to camp. So anyway, next slide here. Okay, so we've looked at a camp in southern New Jersey for a weekend. We haven't made any commitments yet. We're hoping to get some financial support to make that possible. And we had a trip out to Michigan in late November, early December of this year, where we met with some groups. We spoke to some homeschool groups and a few other groups, and we think there's a very good chance of getting a camp out in Ohio and Michigan, if not in 2018, God willing in 2019. We also had a lady in California that expressed an interest in starting a camp out there, and just a few days ago I had a gentleman in Western New York that's interested in doing a camp. And if it's not a week-long camp, a weekend camp. So stay tuned for that. And next slide here. How can you help? This is only possible because of the people that support our efforts, and we want to expand. We don't want to just stay kind of static. So the best way to help us is with a donation on our PayPal account. If you go to our website, you'll see a drop-down. It will say PayPal, and you can do a monthly donation for as little as $5 a month. You know, we get a few thousand people doing $5 a month. It really adds up very quickly. We have some people doing $10, some people doing $100 a month, $50 a month. You know, $5 a month is 2 cups of coffee a month. That's not a whole lot to help us in our mission to get this information to the next generation of Americans and the current generation as well, to make them more effective activists. Another way is through, if you have a business or a nonprofit, you could become a sponsor for $100 a year. You can even do that through PayPal. Just send us your you know, what you want, a link to your website or what have you, what do you want us to put. And I think that's it. Well, folks, thank you for watching. And again, thank you for making what I do possible. And with that, have a very happy New Year, and God bless you.